For anyone here that doesn't know me, my name is Adam Crump, and I'm an alcoholic. Matthew 11:28 says, "Come to me, all who are worried and burdened, and I will give you rest." And that is just what he did for me. I was born on August 27th, 1985, to Jim Crump and Mary Robin Lennard. I do not have many memories early on because my parents divorced whenever I was like barely 4. So that's all a big blur to me. After the divorce, me and my sister went with my mom, and to say that we moved a lot would be an understatement. From kindergarten and through 8th grade, I attended 18 different schools.
Wow.
My freshman year, I finally settled in a small town in southern Illinois called McLeansboro. There, I started to finally kind of feel secure, like this might be it. We might stay here, and luckily it was. I finished all 4 years there. That was amazing. However, right off the bat, whenever I moved there, the first friends that befriended me were all the seniors. So I was almost like their project. I started drinking and all those things very early. The first time I ever got drunk, I was 14 at a party. I got horribly sick, as you can imagine. And right then I thought that would be a deterrent, but it was not. It was the beginning of a pattern. I got my first illegal consumption ticket at 15. My repercussions were get a job or ask my grandma for the money, but I had to tell her what it was for. And I wasn't risking my spot as favorite grandchild. So I got a job. There I was working with older people in a bigger town, the town over from where I lived. Introduced to a lot more drugs and alcohol. Introduced to cocaine for the first time. And it turns out I loved that a lot. Made me feel alive like I had never before. This place I worked at was a sports bar, and they moved me up to a bartender at age 18. I was bartending. I was attending college at the time, but with that, I quit going to class because I was making good money, living a fast life, meeting all kinds of people. Class wasn't important to me anymore, so I quit going. During that time, I was introduced, like I said, to cocaine, to drug dealers, where I started doing that myself as well. In my small town where I went to high school, nobody knew where to get all that stuff, but being working in the bigger town, I did, so I became their dealer. To the point of the cocaine use that I had a heart attack when I was 19 years old, completely spurred by crazy partying, drinking, and cocaine at the same time. Not a good combination. Right then you would think, again, that would be a deterrent, right? I had a heart attack. No. Again, the pattern. I finally had all the friends. I was the man in Mount Vernon, Illinois, and the name Adam Crump finally meant something to people, or at least I thought. This lifestyle of madness lasted about a decade. A lot of memories that I don't have, but it seemed like a good time at the time. At age 30, I met a girl. Relationship started off very quickly. We got serious very quickly, intertwined in each other's lives, and I thought, here's where I settled down. Once again, not true. The pattern continues. After a couple years together, we decided we were going to spread our wings and fly and leave Southern Illinois, and we landed in Lexington, Kentucky. There, everything progressed even more. I thought, I'm in a new town, I don't know anybody, so I'll settle down. It was the opposite again. I met people at the bars, drinking, drugging, all that again. There's some people in here that might be able to, or might not be able to tell you when things went from fun to addiction. But I'm pretty sure that I know the day. I was at the liquor store to get beer. It was in my hand, and I looked back on the shelf, and liquor was on sale. And I bought a bottle of vodka thinking, I'm a bartender, I know how to make good drinks, I'm gonna have the day off, I'm gonna have this. And I know that I was addicted to vodka from the first time I bought a bottle. Shortly after that, we decided to move again, and we ended up in Pensacola, Florida. Right after we got there, once again, thought I was going to settle down. This was it, right? I'm on the beach. This is a good life. And the pattern continued. Except for this time it was worse because right when we got there, COVID hit. So my girlfriend, her job was considered essential. So I was at home, obviously all the bars closed, so I couldn't bartend, so I didn't have a job. So I was lonely, unemployed, my vodka consumption skyrocketed. I was at the liquor store every morning when they unlocked the door, and sometimes back for another bottle before they locked up at night. So around that time, a lot of my friends were getting married and settling down, having kids. So at that point, I thought, well, I guess it's my turn, right? Been with this girl for a while. So I proposed, but for all the wrong reasons. My biggest excitement about getting married was the party I could throw for the reception. I've been throwing parties my whole life, but this was going to be the big one. Turns out after a few months of engagement and my drinking continuing to progress very rapidly, the lies and all the deceit that happened during that time, she finally called off the wedding, said this is game over. So I tucked my tail between my legs and flew home and landed at Mama's house. I was 35 years old and had been on my own since I was 17, and now I'm back at my mom's house. For a couple months I was just miserable there until one day I finally decided to go to rehab. I went to my first rehab in February of 2021. I went to my first rehab. I thought, I'm fixed, right? I finally learned all this stuff I didn't know before, how to not drink. So I think that I'm good to go. I'm not lying to you when I say I drank 5 minutes after getting out of that rehab. I hugged my mom for a little while, told her I needed to stop to get cigarettes, and bought liquor while I was in there that she didn't know about. Chugged it in the bathroom. From then on, it was a very, very horrible time. I ended up just basically, I didn't have anywhere to go after that, so I was couch surfing, if you will, from friend's house to friend's house, ruining relationships, burning bridges all along the way. If you asked me to describe myself at that time, I would say that I was, where did I put it at? I was a lying, cheating, thieving drunk. Just no good for anybody. So at that time, I really didn't know where I would sleep next. I didn't know when I would eat next. But I knew that I could figure out a way to know when I would drink next. And a lot of awful things to be able to do that occurred. After, August 2022, I went to my fourth rehab, decided to follow their advice, and go to a halfway house afterwards. That was going to be it for me, calming down this time, for sure. I got kicked out. And if you can guess why, it was from drinking and getting caught. So the pattern continued. At that time when I got kicked out, I checked into a hotel room that night to try to figure things out. And I ended up living in that hotel room for about a month and a half. The darkest time of my life. At that point, I lost relationships with everybody, including God. I couldn't even bring myself to pray and ask for help anymore. It was during that time that I finally decided I couldn't do it anymore. And I decided I would take my own life. That was the only way I knew how. Sorry. I had it all planned out to a T. And the night that I'd planned to do it, I went down to the bar that was connected to the hotel and decided to drink up enough till I got liquid courage. As I'm sitting there drowning my sorrows, I pulled up Facebook Messenger, and there was a girl's name that I hadn't seen or talked to in 14 years. And I sent her a message that simply said, "How's life?" That sparked a conversation that night back and forth between us about where things had went in our lives over the last years. And it was a very good conversation. And I ended up, instead of going through with my plan of that night, I went to sleep with a smile on my face that night for the first time in years. A few days after that, I got invited to stay in an Oxford house, which is a sober living home. It was in Bloomington, Illinois. And I was doing pretty well at first, but as you can guess, pattern continues. I got caught drinking and got kicked out of the Oxford house. That girl that I was talking about, that I messaged that night, She was pretty cool. We had been talking a lot every day. I call it a phone-a-ship, not a relationship, it was a phone-a-ship. We were on the phone with each other at some point every day. When I got kicked out, I had no idea where I was going. I couldn't go home again. I'd burnt every bridge I know. And I was depleted. And that girl, she came to Bloomington and pretty much bailed me out. We got a hotel to try to figure out what I was going to do. I ended up staying in that hotel for a couple weeks. And about the third week, as she was leaving to go back to Indianapolis, I said, hey, I got a wild idea. What if I go with you? And she said yes. And we came to Indy with no idea what we were doing. I had no plans for the future. I just knew I needed someone. So I got here and I thought that was it, right? Now my life can calm down. I thought this again. Wrong. Again, pattern continued, and I began drinking viciously. All day, every chance that I was awake, I had a drink in my hand. The next 6 months, literally, if I wasn't in rehab, I was in a hospital, or vice versa. Getting kicked out of rehabs, being not accepted to rehabs, doctors telling me stop, and just not listening. Finally, on April 30th of 2023 was the last time I had a drink. I don't even remember that. I'm told by that girl I was talking about. So that was April 30th, and I was still really, really sick. I was at home, but I was sick bad, couch-ridden. On May 7th, that girl rushed me to the Fisher's emergency room where my ammonia levels were near fatal. May 11th, I was already been in the hospital since then with no memory at all. I was in like a brain coma, no memories whatsoever. On May 11th, I finally came to, and my mom and my sister were there, and that day they told the doctors told my family that it was pretty sure that I would never see another Christmas. And that was in May. On May 14th was Mother's Day. My mom was still there. I thought it would be the last one that I ever had with my mom. That night, something happened that changed my life. A chaplain from the hospital came to my room in the middle of the night to pray with me about the news that I probably wasn't going to make it. She prayed for what seemed like an hour. When she left, I felt different. And for the first time in my life, I got on my knees. And I gave my life to God. I told him. I asked if he'd give me one more chance at life, that I would follow wherever he led me. I didn't care where it was. I even remember saying, I don't care if I make another penny in my life. Just tell me where to go and I'll go. The next day after that, my dad and my stepmom, Carol, came to visit. And on May 17th, and this is 6 days after being told that I wouldn't see Christmas, the doctors tell me they have no idea what has happened. But I can go home. So I went home, and I like to tell this part. May 20th, I've been home for 3 days. This is 9 days after being told I was going to die. I was walking around the Fisher's Farmers Market with that girl. And I thought, how crazy is this? I was going to die, and now I'm at the farmer's market. On May 28th, me and that girl were both baptized at I-Town, and publicly gave my life to God. I'd been baptized before. My grandfather's a preacher. I'd been baptized earlier in life, and then even a second time. But this time, it was real, and people always talk about like baptism is to clean you. I literally came out of that water feeling like 100 pounds of dirt had just washed off. The next few months were full of doctors and specialist appointments following my amazing progress in my health and the resurgence of my liver. Doctors could not believe my healing. that time, my liver specialist, who had had me on urgent for the liver transplant, canceled the meetings with my transplant team. And then on November 11th of this year, that girl I've been talking about, that's Rachel here, if anybody doesn't know her. And on November 11th, I got to marry my best friend. So I'm now honored to say that I am working here for Stone Dry, doing anything I can. When I thought that there was no way that I could stay sober, there was a way, and that way was God. And here, the companionship, the friends, the stories, the warmth, the glow on people's faces after they come here, that helps me stay sober. They say you have to have a good support system to stay sober, and I found that here at Stone Dry. Last week, your fearless leader, Paul Nasher, spoke about the value of friendship in your faith and in recovery. And that message stood out to me. I can honestly say that my biggest fear of sobriety was, where will I hang out and what will I do? And with who? Well, Stone Dry was that place. You can find a home here. You can find friends. Friends that aren't huge dorks, because I thought all sober people must be huge nerds. But those friends, those are friends that call or text you when they know you're going through it, or even when they know you're not, just to check on you. Those friends are there for you. Wrap this up. The moral of all this blabber is this. If you think that there is no way that you could be loved again, or even liked, if you think that you've done way too many bad things, no one could ever forgive you. If you think there's no way out, guys, I'm here to tell you you're wrong, because there is, and that's God. God saved me from literal death. You can ask anyone here who was here to see it firsthand. I'm standing here today, alive, sober, talking to you guys for only one reason, because I finally gave it all to God. So thank you all for listening to my story. God bless you. Thank you so much.